The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Well, what a weekend it was. Did you stay up late for the game last night? Did you actually watch the whole thing?
Yes. And I want whoever decided that a 9 o'clock Sunday game needed to be a thing to be arrested.
How about a 9:30 Monday? Do you like that?
I like that better than a 9 on Sunday. There's something about Sunday. Leave my damn Sunday alone. And also, what are the odds, these sheer mathematical odds, based on the last few seasons, that a Sunday game for the Leafs will be good? Slim.
Pretty slim.
Very slim. Even the ones they win. They won that game and it was terrible.
Well, that's Daryl Sutter, though. Just Daryl Sutter, boring Daryl Sutter.
Calgary played well. What was that? They had that stretch where it was 13 straight shots for Calgary.
Yeah, very poor start. Leafs were dominant at the beginning, and then Calgary pretty much ran the show for like half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just some bad luck and couple just mystifying plays. Like just they forgot Nylander existed. That was a great example of making your own luck. Like, yes, Hannafin put it in his own net, but it started because of a breakaway because 3 guys went after Tavares. I keep telling you, he makes his line mates turn into ghosts. It's an ability that only great players have. Or maybe they just made a stupid mistake.
It could be that, you know.
That's a team in need of a retool.
Mm-hmm.
They need a retool, not a rebuild. They're in their own heads. They have the skill. They're in their own heads way too much.
Alternately, no. They don't have it. They've never had it, and they never will have it. This group of the Flames is not going anywhere. And it's not because I don't love you, Steve. It's because the Calgary Flames suck. And I'm pissed off that I took them to get into the playoffs this year. That's what I'm upset about.
They have talented players, though. You know what I mean?
Who suck?
Like
so
they're getting okay. There are teams who can rebuild and teams who have to.
Mm-hmm.
They're inching closer to have to.
Right.
But right now, I'd say they can rebuild. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, here's what I would ask you, though. At this point of the season, would you be thrilled about being the general manager of a team in Calgary that has all those things, all the talent, all the ability, and all the money spent, and your chances of making the playoffs are at 1.2%?
No,
but Adam, you're saying they don't have the talent.
Clearly they don't. If they did, they'd get it done.
As the GM, you're not sitting there being like, "Oh, we have all this talent." You're like, "I'm missing talent," according to your assessment.
I think they are missing talent. I think they're missing the boat completely. This is just a disjointed, weird franchise now, and I think that they were in the same space the Leafs were last year, which is they stink, or they're inconsistent, but they're still somewhat getting into the first round somehow, some way. And the Leafs didn't even do that last year. I think the Calgary Flames are progressively just getting worse the longer you keep this group together. And it just seems that they just don't see, like you said it yesterday. They're like, or you said it about yesterday. Well, they had this great stretch, but they never seem to be able to get it done. And that's my issue with Calgary is like, it's like you do have all this talent. Are you just not that good?
There's never really been any debate.
You know, sometimes there are guys that are like star players, and then there's guys that are complementary players.
Mm-hmm.
Are Calgary stars other teams' complementary players?
No, they're stars.
Like, is Johnny Gaudreau?
Johnny Gaudreau's a star.
Is he going to lead any franchise to the cup?
The problem is how many wingers in the NHL can be the number one guy on any team?
There's like one guy, Patrick.
I think he's a star winger.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a star winger, and Monahan's a great center. I don't love him. I just don't love him as a number one center. Or is it Lindholm or whoever? Like
Lindholm's the number one right now.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Like, he's good too.
Mm-hmm.
He's good too. He's really good. Like a few years ago when we were like, Nashville has 3 number 2 centers.
Right.
and they overpay all of them. You know what I mean? That's
But in
kind of where they're at.
In a sport like hockey, where your number one players, they miss so much of the game because this is not how ice time works. It's a strategy if you built up defense and goalie, and maybe your secondary players are your centermen. You know, like Nashville, when they had that great run, it wasn't with their centermen; it was on the defense and the great goaltending by Pekka Rinne. So if Calgary wanted to go down that route, they can, but it doesn't seem like they built up that strategy right now. Like their defense doesn't blow you away, and their goaltending doesn't blow you away. So when they have these errors up the middle, like they're very apparent.
I think there's two things here. I think with the Leafs last year, I didn't watch them and go, God, why do they suck?
You knew why?
No, I knew why. I knew exactly why. I look at the Flames, I go, God, what's the matter? And the other thing is with the Leafs, I never questioned whether or not they like each other, really.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And this, the Tkachuk thing, the puck flip thing, should have been like, I don't think we made a big enough deal of that. Everyone's like, oh, it's a puck flip. No. It's the fact that his teammates didn't go to bat for him, and B, complained about having to. What? You've never had a teammate like Matthew Tkachuk?
Do you think anyone on that roster thinks Matthew Tkachuk should be the highest paid player on the Calgary Flames?
If that's something they're bitter about, then they need to get over it, because he's still not even that high paid of a player. Their best player's 38. That's a problem. And I've been saying it for a while now. Like, again, I still don't think they're the worst constructed team out there. They have players, they have assets, they have ability, but the writing is on the wall for the Calgary Flames. You have to retool now. Retool now. Your window kind of closes with Mark Giordano, does it not?
Well, I mean, I think they were thinking about keeping it open. I mean, I think Jeff O'Neill said a really good thing, I think, yesterday on the broadcast. He was talking about, I thought this was Matt Tkachuk's year to be, a top 10 in scoring kind of player. And that just hasn't worked out.
Is he ever going to be that kind of player?
He might be like our Marchand. I don't know if he's a Bergeron, but I don't think, I mean, Marchand's no joke. I think that if he's top 25 player in the league in scoring, that would be pretty great. I don't see, I'm a little concerned about what this team identity is going to be, because it seems to me it's a couple different things. There's the Tkachuk, there's the Giordano, and then there's the Monahan Gaudreau, and there seem to be three different directions. And I'm not sure, because you said it, Steve, like Giordano is your best player, and he's going to, I mean, conceivably he could play as long as Zdeno Chara does.
He's still good.
Still good. But are you building a Stanley Cup roster around a guy that's 40?
No one's arguing Chara is still a star.
No, he is.
You know what I mean? And like for a few years, he hasn't been a star, but he's, I don't know. At this point, he's barely even fine. He's in the league. You know what I mean? But like Giordano, like, didn't he win the Norris like 2 years ago?
Yep.
That's it. That's the peak. You can't get better than that. You can't get better than the best. And I don't think he was going to continue to be that at his age. That's just not how it works.
It just seems like, to me anyway, and the reason I interrupted you, I was just trying to joke around, but I just think Calgary, like, it's a disturbing, stunning lack of getting it done. They have these stretches, and you could say that pretty much any game Calgary plays in, they have these stretches where they are dominant in the game, but for whatever reason, they can't get it done. And then you've got Sutter in there trying to simplify the game and slow it down and make it molasses, which is fine, I guess. But this is a skilled hockey team. This team should be able to play a little run and gun. And you just don't see that from them. And you lost TJ Brody, but you also gained Chris Tanev and Jake Markstrom.
Not to call out a coworker here, but Eric Francis, when the Leafs signed TJ Brody, the quote that keeps sticking with me is everyone's focusing on, Brody won't be the same without Giordano. The one I keep focusing on is Francis is like, yeah, he's a bit like Jake Gardiner. I don't know if I've ever watched a player less like Jake Gardiner.
Like, TJ Brody is the anti-Jake Gardiner.
He doesn't have a goal yet. He's amazing defensively. I would trust him to babysit my son, let alone on a 2-on-1. Like, what? What? No, Jake Gardiner. What? Absolutely not. No, I don't get that one at all.
It's bizarre. It's a very bizarre thing. But anyway, the game. We'll talk a little bit more about the game. But I do want to say this: Calgary's chances of making the playoffs, according to Luke Fox, are 1.2%.
It's not going to happen.
And they're only 6 points out. But
Montreal's got 4 games in hand with that final spot.
2-8 in the last 10. They're spiraling.
And like, I want to say the record's even worse than that, because weren't they 3-0 in the first 3 games with Daryl Sutter? And it's bad, man. It's bad. It's bad. We're not picking on them. Like, there's the teams that we like the train wrecks, and we also like the mysteries, and Calgary's a mystery.
Well, it's not that we don't pick on teams. We talk about teams where there's a story.
Oh, it's
like
definitely
Edmonton's good this year. The story is they're good. There's not much more to go on with that. When Edmonton was a train on fire at 100 miles an hour, that was. I mean, we had to talk about that. What are you going to do?
And they have micro stories.
Yes.
Right, but not like headlines.
Yes.
Like, you could talk about like, which defensive pair should Ethan Bear be on? Oh, well, gosh, let's dedicate 20 minutes to that.
Right.
But it's not what the Flames are. The Flames have, I think you nailed 3 real fires there. You see what I did? 3 real fires. I think they have a few decisions with their biggest players, namely Gaudreau.
Mm-hmm.
They got to make a decision there with Giordano.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember what the other one was.
Well, identity. I think identity is the key.
Yeah, what are you? I've been saying this for a couple of years. What are you?
Well, what are you, Steve?
I am a member of the Dangle Navy, according to my super cool bomber I got on SDPN.ca.
You're both wearing the gear today. I am not. I apologize. Sorry, gentlemen.
F you.
Also, Jesse, we did have a question from a member of the Dangle Navy wondering if we're any closer to getting those jerseys arriving.
A lot of people have subscribed to our email newsletter that the website sends out. So if you subscribe to that, that's where you're going to get all the info on the latest drops from sdpn.ca.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so let's get into Who Wore the Crown, shall we? Sponsored by who, Jesse?
This is from Sneps Mustache. I don't know how you want me to pronounce it, but
Harold
that's
Sneps.
that's your Twitter handle.
Canucks legend.
Mr. Mustache pledged $120 for Movember. So that went to the Movember fund.
Oh, you see, because
yes, because
very good. This is very nice.
Obviously.
This is very nice.
And they want to sponsor Who Wore the Crown. So Adam, take it away.
Okay. Name one more time, Jesse.
We'll go with Sneps Mustache.
Sneps Mustache.
I'm not saying it right.
Steve, what do you know about Harold Sneps, by the way?
I played for the Canucks. That's it. And I think I have one of his hockey cards. Yeah. I just know he's very popular with Canucks fans. He, I think, played in the V jersey era, where the whole jersey was a V. There wasn't a V on it. It just was a V.
Right.
They just skated around the ice, and that was it. The whole game. And they love it.
The pictures of Harold's mustache are just fantastic, by the way.
They are juicy. They are juicy.
Yes, it's the sort of picture that would be hanging in Jeff Merrick's house.
and Jeff would have spent a couple days at Harold's house, and they would have, had written a book together or something. I also want to throw this out there. Canucks media is crazy because every time there's like an issue, people will refer to the site Pass It to Boulis as literally Pass It to Boulis. They don't pass it. I don't even think when they're up at, talking, it's like, well, this will be Pass It to Boulis asking the question. And you're like, pass it. That's the blog, right? That's the blog out there, Steve.
Yes.
Yes. And instead of actually, naming the reporter, it's just, this is Pass It to Boulis. Like that's almost like saying this is the Leafs Nation,
And it's based on Jan Boulis.
Yeah, who was their third line center during the Naslin years. Like
it's like if the Leafs had a blog called Ponica Blogski or something. Like that. It's very random.
Yeah. Anyway, but they're a serious blog. I mean, obviously they've done extremely well. Anyway, long story short, let's get into Who Wore the Crown. Anytime that you want to sponsor us, make sure you reach out to Jesse and send your charitable donation in. And Steve, is it fun?
Is what fun?
Sponsoring Who Wore the Crown. Would you say it's fun?
So fun.
Would you say it's worth doing?
I think it's worth doing, Adam.
If you wanted to motivate somebody to get in on this, what would you say to them?
Well, listen, you can sit here listening to your podcasts, or even worse, watching your podcasts. You can sit here and be like, gosh, I'm doing nothing with my life right now. You could do that. You could absolutely do that. It's easy. It's comfortable. But why not? Why not make a difference in the lives of your fellow humans by donating to the charity of your choice? We're not even forcing you to donate to a certain charity. You just got to do something that's important to you.
You got to work in Harold Snev's mustache here.
Yeah, that too.
At some point.
You could donate to Movember like Harold did. And that's it.
All right.
All right.
Why not?
Who wants to go first?
You take it, Adam. You go first.
Want me to go first?
You go first.
Oh, man. Okay, my crown today is going to go to Jack Campbell.
I liked his performance last night. 0 goals allowed.
That's right. Another shutout for Jack Campbell. No, what I liked about it was Michael Hutchinson saying how much having Jack Campbell around has helped his game. After the game, Michael Hutchinson said that Jack Campbell's attitude has allowed him to sort of shake off how terrible things were here last year and feel a lot more confident going into the game. And I think we can all agree that Michael Hutchinson has played a heck of a season. There are some things like that Mangiapane goal that make you go, God, please just stop the puck. But the Leafs, I think the Leafs backups this year are like 12-3-1 or 12-2-1. It's
something
crazy.
Preposterous.
It's an outrageous number.
You
and
could have never hoped for it the last 2 years.
Because of Michael Hutchinson, I believe their road record is the best in the NHL. Mm-hmm. So the shout out to Jack Campbell for putting everybody in a good mood, including us at home. We love you, Jack Campbell. And thank you, Michael Hutchinson, for a great game. Sorry, I can't give you the crown. It's got to go to Jack.
I love that he, like, right when he joined the Leafs, started growing a mustache to support Matthews' bid for 50. Like, imagine you meet someone, like someone just started working at Virgin with you guys. Mm-hmm. And within a week of knowing them, you just cut your hair like theirs and you're like, I support you. I'm growing a mustache because of you.
Yeah.
I'm growing a goatee.
It's weird.
For the goats right here. Guy I just met. That's what Jack Campbell essentially did. And none of us were like, that's odd. We were all like that guy. Cool.
There are certain personalities who can pull that kind of off, but you have to be really earnest. Like really just like that earnest, loving, adorable person. And that's what Jack is. He's adorable.
Certain people do it. No, you stop that. You stop that right now. Go get a haircut. I don't like that. No.
I think he might be more adorable than another guy that we used to like in Ned.
Who's that? I don't know.
James Reimer.
That's how dare you?
Who's more likable? Who's more likable?
Yes.
All right, Steve or Jesse, who's up?
It's Metapod versus Kakuna for niceness. Jesse, you want this or should I?
Sure, I'll take it.
Okay.
Let's rewind to last year, 2020 trade deadline. Michael Hutchinson, as you said, Adam, not a great last year. He was 4-9-1 with an 8.86. Mm-hmm. Toronto ships him away. No more of this. But little did everybody know, a week before he was shipped off away from the city of Toronto, Hutchinson commissioned a custom Felix Potvin mask. And he never got to use it until he was dealt back to Toronto. Well, he re-signed Toronto. And now he's been using it at practice. So hopefully we see that in the game coming up soon. That'd be really cool if he brings out the Felix Potvin mask that he had commissioned a year ago.
That would be cool.
Got to use because he was in Colorado. But shout out Hutchinson. I thought once he had that last game that was horrible, we would never see him in net for the Leafs ever again. I didn't know how you come back with a guy who doesn't look like he can play in the NHL. But injuries happen. Circumstances happen. Sometimes you don't have any other option but the guy who hasn't been very good. And sometimes he steps up and plays very well. So 4-2-1, 919 save percentage this year. That's what more can you ask from a backup goalie? That's better than the Leafs have had out of a backup
third
goalie.
Stringer.
Right? Third. And coming to the season, I've said this before, but he was the fourth string goalie on the team. It's Anderson, Campbell, Dell, then Hutchinson.
He's played more than Dell.
Right? So coming into the season, getting this performance out of a fourth string goalie going into the year, that's crown worthy for me. So Michael Hutchinson, here's your crown.
If you're Aaron Dell, and we'll get to you in a sec, Steve. If you're Aaron Dell, are you a little pissed off that New Jersey claimed you? Like, not only do they suck, and you probably don't want to play for them, like play on the ice, but also like they took you from the team that's definitely clearly doing really, really well, and you would have played more.
Also, they definitely took you from the team that you definitely clearly signed with.
Yes.
Aaron Dell signed a contract to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then before the season even began, no, you're a Devil now. Like, I get why the waiver wire is there. It's to keep guys in the NHL, keep them making an NHL salary, give them more chances to play in NHL games. This didn't work. This didn't work. He'd be in Toronto. He'd be playing more games. Mm-hmm. This didn't work. This didn't do a favor for this player. The waiver wire has failed a lot of players this year.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly goalies. Anton Forsberg just played his first game. Last week.
It to help,
and he's been
players?
bounced around to like 6 teams.
Is it to help the players or to help the teams? Because I think it's to help the teams more than the players.
I think it's to prevent teams from like hoarding.
Right. So, yeah, you're helping the other teams by the good teams not hoarding all their good players, you know?
What I would say to that is, if you really want to prevent hoarding, I mean, limit the contracts, which they've already done. Like, ultimately, it's just waivers are interesting. I think you have to have waivers. I just question why you have to have them exactly the way the NHL does. Like, to send a guy to your taxi squad, he's got to clear waivers or whatever it is. It's just... like, what's the fucking point?
Well, and also, like, I sign a contract with the team, like, especially Toronto, and I know I might be going to the minors, right? Well, luckily, their minor league team is in that city. That's part of the reason I signed with them. And, oh, nope, you're with the Devils now.
But the idea is, at Toronto, you're not allowed to sign 3 really good goalies because you're going to have to expose one to waivers. So that's how it is. You got your starter and you got your backup. If you want to carry 3 goalies, then you got to make a roster spot and you got to keep them up. But we're going to try and create some competitive balance. And if you want to send one down, he's got to be exposed to the rest of the league. So that's like the thinking from like Bettman's side, you know.
Right.
I'm just salty because like no one's been claimed on waivers this year, and the Leafs have somehow lost 3.
Yeah,
they've lost 3 players in a season where no one gets claimed. It's
just in case if you're wondering, and people are not going to like me for this, if you're wondering if everybody's watching Toronto all the time, the answer is yes, because about 40 Travis Boyds have been on waivers this year. 1 got claimed. About 40 Jimmy Vesey's have been on waivers this year. 1 got claimed. And it's not just because of what they made, guys. There's lots of league min guys that are out there.
Guys making less than Jimmy Vesey.
Oh, yeah.
Vesey makes $900,000.
Yeah.
That's just an example. Sorry. I think we're in the Crown segment.
Yeah. So go ahead, Steve.
My bad. So now you ever hear people yelling at you who aren't in the same room? Right now, I'm sensing the fire. Tic Tac Tomar in particular, I know he's just pointing at the screen and he's like, Steven. He's going with my birth name. Steven, you listen to me.
What about Stephen Paul?
Oh, listen. My mom can do that. Mm-hmm. Omar should mind his business with Stephen Paul. You get out of here with Stephen Paul.
Where's this going?
You give this crown to Galchenyuk, you jerk. He finally scored a goal if you don't give this to Galchenyuk. But then there's also the guy who we just keep not giving the crown to because he's too good.
Austin Matthews.
And that's Austin Matthews. And
leads the league in goals. No crown.
I'm going to give it to Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Galch. Okay, so here's why. He, on the first goal, the Morgan Riley goal, Noah Hannafin has the puck in his own zone, can't exit the zone because Matthews stops him. On the, can't remember, I think it was the goal he ended up scoring himself. Matthew Tkachuk is like, I swear to God, 3 feet from the blue line. He should have just chipped it out. He should have dumped it. Should have done anything but what he did, which is turn it over to Austin Matthews, and a few seconds later, it's in the back of your net. This guy's recovering from a wrist injury. He's got 25 goals. That was his first shot of the game, and it came in the 3rd period. Oh, Austin Matthews just makes it look far too easy. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? It was the 4th goal. It was his own goal that he stripped Tkachuk there. Austin Matthews, God, we're watching something special with this player. Treasure every moment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He gets my crown.
Well, and what's been interesting about him is his value on the other side of the puck now. right? Like, you know, he
So
does
good.
score buckets of goals, but he's actually like defensively responsible and reliable.
He and Marner, I don't know how voting's going to end up going, but one of them should be nominated for the Selke. I'm serious.
But
Like,
not the
they're-
Hart. They couldn't be because they play in Toronto.
No, heavens
No
to
way
Betsy,
you could
no.
possibly include either of those players in the Hart voting at all.
Marner's not going to get it because wingers aren't allowed. That's been
Except for if you're Taylor Hall.
he's Hart. No, sorry, I mean the Selke. The
Selke. Yeah.
Because that was a big. They beat that drum. Jeff Merrick was big on the Marian Hossa drum. I think the last winger to win the Selke was like Yuri Lettinen.
And he won it like 8 times in a row.
He won it a lot, and that which shows you like the cruise control that people vote on these things, eh?
Oh yeah,
It's Yuri
especially
Lettinen and Yuri Lettinen and Yuri Lettinen.
back then when you'd see Dallas for literally, because you know there was no national games out of the United States. You weren't like back when Yuri Lettinen was playing. The games were still on ESPN, and you weren't going to catch them in Canada. You might get the highlights. But the guys voting up here saw Yuri Lettinen in 2 rounds, the 3rd and the 4th round.
Yeah,
That was
play
it.
well in Vancouver, Montreal, and Toronto. Win an award.
Just essentially, it's so you know it's pretty. I mean, the guy was pretty incredible, but it's a little bit silly that you couldn't have a winger up for that, and it's a little bit silly as well that they use the Selke as the runner-up Hart, right?
There are a lot of cases where that's the case. But I mean, Mitch Marner, I remember Reese Jessup had a tweet where he was talking about players who are playing the wrong role. And he's basically, he said, Quinn Hughes is what happens when Mitch Marner learns gap control. And I think of that tweet more and more often. So, sorry. Quinn Hughes does not have the typical body of what you'd expect out of an NHL defender, right? You usually expect bigger guys.
Right.
I've met him. He's a slender kid, but he skates like the wind, knows how to move the puck, right? So he said Quinn Hughes is what happens when Mitch Marner, who's a similar body type, learns gap control. And I think about it more and more when I watch him. There's so many instances where, you know, part of the reason Riley is pinching so much, it's not just because of his trust in TJ Brody. It's because Marner's going to be back. Or Matthews, but it's so often Marner filling in on the right side. And there are a lot of shifts where he's basically just like a right-handed defenseman who didn't begin the shift that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
It's
I mean?
crazy to think, but
really
at
good.
this point, it seems like Mitch Marner is a tad underrated just for how much he contributes on the ice, like overall as a player, and he doesn't get enough appreciation for that.
I think it's silent appreciation this year because he got so much shit last year, and a lot of people were mad about the contract and everything. And I feel like some people aren't totally ready to let it go. They know he's playing well. They just don't want to say it. Because he's been absolutely fantastic. He's what complaint could you possibly have from Martin? There was like a week or two where it's like, I wonder what Nylander would look like with Matthews. And now, I just watch them and I'm like, I'm sure Nylander would be great with Matthews, but guess what? He's great with Tavares and Marner's great with Matthews. So leave it.
The Hyman Matthews Marner line, I think, is the best line that the Leafs can put out in terms of any combination. Like, I don't think once you hit the playoffs, you don't stray from that. Like, you don't try Hyman on the 3rd line and none of that nonsense. Like, you let those 3 go at it and then you figure out the rest of it. Because when they're out there, it's just so good. Especially on that first Riley goal, when you see Matthews, Marner and Hyman just in front of the net, ready to receive whatever is going to happen off of that play. And then Riley just shoots it straight in. It was great work as a team effort. And that line just always buzzing, no matter when they're on the ice.
Hyman's goal scoring pace last year was ridiculous. If he had played a full season, because he started late because of surgery, and then obviously we know why he ended early, he was on like a 35 goal pace, and he looks better. Like, he's not scoring as much, and he looks better. He looks genuinely better. It's amazing what you can do with 2 knees. He's an unbelievable player, unbelievable compliment to that line. The one thing I'll say is you're right about the figure out the rest. Galchenyuk looks great with Tavares and Nylander, no problem there. The Engvall, Mikheyev, Simmons line is not doing it for me. Like Simmons and Hyman are two totally different players.
Since Simmons has come back from his injury, it feels like he's like a little step back from where he was pre-injury, like at the very beginning of the season. Or that first like 4 games where it was just unbelievable. He's a player of the night every single game. Like it was crazy. And now it seems like, okay, he's kind of at even now instead of this higher level that he was at.
That's why I was beating the drum in the LFR today. I want the Leafs power play slump to end, and I want him to be the guy to do it.
28 straight power plays.
Yeah,
we're getting into it, guys. We're in the crown segment. Can we?
Are we? Sorry, I thought we wrapped that.
So let's wrap that up.
Sorry.
Oops. What's the name again, Jesse? It's been about 25 years.
We're gonna do a Harold Strepp's mustache.
Harold Strepp's mustache. Thank you so much for sponsoring Who Are the Crown. The next time, do you want to be cool like Harold Strepp's mustache? First off, dry growing Harold Strepp's mustache. Number 2,
snaps.
It snaps at him.
Who cares?
I'm gonna fight both of you.
Who cares? He's Vancouver Canuck. Who cares?
Wow.
I'm kidding. It's a joke. Anyway,
This show of all shows, Adam. Heavens, I don't know about Adam Wilde and no one else saying that.
It's brought to you by Harold Strepp's mustache. Next time you want to get on the segment, reach out to Jesse, because why not?
Why not?
Exactly. Why not? Steve Dangle è un tipo maleonte. What does that mean? Well, in case you don't speak Spanish, that means Steve Dangle is a smelly guy, and I just learned it from Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app in the world. It's one of my goals for the new year was to learn a little bit of, a new language. And Babbel has made the whole process addictively fun and easy, and I can throw little barbs at my friends in different languages. Little bite-sized lessons, perfect for guys like me who really have low attention spans. They're 15 minutes long, and they make it perfect to learn a new language. You're not spending your time conjugating verbs. We're talking about real-world conversations. Now, you've seen other language learning apps, and they use AI for their lesson plans. Babbel lessons were created by using over 100 language experts. Their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. And with Babbel, you could choose from 14 different languages, including the one I'm trying to learn, Spanish. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you improve your pronunciation and accent. That's the part I'm still working on. So just bear with me. Right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months for free. So that's 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to Babbel.com and use the promo code THEORY. That's BABBEL.com code THEORY for an extra 3 months free. Babbel, language for life. All right, so getting into it, there's a couple things from what Luke Fox had to say today that I think, by the way, Luke Fox's recaps, I love.
Just love Luke Fox.
Love Luke Fox.
Love
the
him.
Toronto Maple Leafs now hold a 6-point lead atop the division in the North over both Edmonton and Winnipeg, an 18-point lead over Calgary.
Oh,
they have the league's best road record, 13-4-1. And, it looks to me like this team is still slightly incomplete. And I think you guys, I know it sounds ridiculous at 53 points and they're #1 in the division, whatever. But we're not going for second or third round here where we want to win a cup.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the line construction, and you guys were just talking about it before I so rudely cut it off, I want you to keep going on that, because my question is, from what you've seen, and I have my own opinion on this too, do you think that the Leafs' needs are anything above the third line now? What I mean by that is there have been a couple of teams, a la the Nashville Predators, that have surged lately, who now think that they're good. They're not, but they think they are. And
they're in a playoff spot.
Yeah, they still suck, though. Come on. Like, really? Come on. Are we kidding here?
I don't
You're gonna
know.
hear it from Nashville fans.
Stop
I
it.
don't know if they suck, but I think you were definitely onto something about the Central.
Like,
It's not a strong division.
Divisional,
They have
seriously.
3 wicked teams and a bunch of others.
Yeah. You had 3 wicked teams dining out on bad teams. But beyond that, so they don't want to sell Granlund, fine. Keep Granlund, get bounced in the first round, whatever you want to do. Nashville's cool. But my thing is,
You're gonna get
ready.
tortured online.
I'm ready.
What did Kevin do to you? What do our friends in Nashville
I
do
love
to
my
you?
boy Kevin. But, my question is, like, for what the Leafs need to target, people are talking about, are they going to deal Nick Robertson? Are they going to deal Rasmus Sandin? Are they going to deal the first round pick? I don't think they need to deal any of them.
No.
I think if Robertson's back and he's healthy, there's an ad right there to that third line you expected him to be on. They expected him to be on that third line all year long. And he's not, because that injury, I guess, is pretty bad. So you're not going to trade him because he's injured. And most teams will be like, well, that'll affect the value and blah, 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 blah. So you're not going to get into that. Rasmus Sandin, you're not trading him. Timothy Liljegren, maybe. First round pick, maybe. But I'm seeing that, first off, it's a buyer's market. Number two, Galch seems to be a fit. And now I know he scored exactly one goal and we need to, pump the brakes. But it's the way he's played on that line where you go, I don't think that we need to do much more here. Do we?
No, Nylander, I don't know if he's really looked bad this season. He maybe had like a little stretch. Tavares, though, the last maybe couple weeks, what a player. Real good. And I know Keefe didn't use him very much against Calgary. I think it was less than 60 minutes, but when he was on the ice, they dominated.
Yeah.
There was the one goal against, but in terms of chances, and they did get the one goal, like they dominated. Really good line. But they had this unbelievable third option in Hyman, Engvall, Mikheyev, and Simmons is not that. He's more of a net front guy, and Hyman will go into the corner and bring it to the net front. Simmons was that. I don't really know if he's that anymore. And you got Engvall and Mikheyev, who are unique players in how tall and fast they are, but it's just a muffin factory. And that does nothing. That does nothing for a guy like Simmons. Like, it's not the right way to use that player. I either want to see a grumpy old men line with Spezza, Thornton, and Simmons. I think that's a better fit for him. And we already know Kerfoot with Mikheyev and Engvall has worked. I don't know. It's that bottom six isn't really doing it for me.
And just to update you, Adam, Nick Robertson is back. He's been playing with the Marlies. Had 4 shots on Saturday.
He took a huge hit and briefly left the game before coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I think SDA set him up for an assist last time too, right? Didn't we talk about that on the show?
Yes, he did.
Sort of beautiful play there. Yeah,
he did. Listen, SDA's first professional point in North America was a pass
Nick
to
Robertson.
Hilarious.
What a surprise. No, my thing is that, like, why waste resources? You found Galch, that's found money. Don't tempt fate, because here's the thing. Galch on the third line probably doesn't look as good. I don't think he's going to drive a line. But if you're looking for that physical, in-your-face sort of winger that Galch seems to want to be now, which was, driving teams nuts about him before, they just could not seem to get that consistently out of him. If he continues to do this, why go out and spend big bucks on a winger when really, ultimately, it'd probably be better anyway to get a centerman, even if they're not playing center all the time. And it's a third line center. And it costs you way less, right? I mean, you could get a third line center for less than $2 million. So you could probably fit under the cap without having to move anything out. You don't need to move Kerfoot out. He's good insurance to have. By the way, for some reason, Alex Kerfoot's salary has negated the fact that he's played pretty well.
He gets hammered by this fan base, and it's just because of the contract.
But the contract's not even bad.
Or, like, he's fine. No, but, like, can this particular team afford him?
Right.
And I saw, oh, God, I can't remember who said it, but it was a very good point. Kerfoot's not a cap dump. He's a trade chip.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good player. He's still relatively young, sort of like early prime. It's
locked up for a couple
I don't know what I want the Leafs to do. I really don't know what I want the Leafs to do. Like, I think you need
a bona fide third center, unless you're going to put
defenseman.
You want a defenseman?
I'd rather get a defenseman than a forward.
Could you not sort something out where, at very least, I like the grumpy old men line idea. Could you not figure out something with Kerfoot, Spezza, and Simmons?
Kerfoot, Spezza, Simmons, and then that leaves you Mikheyev, Engvall, Thornton.
Yeah.
So here's the other conversation: is if the Leafs add a forward, who's the first forward out?
Engvall.
I think it might be Joe, buddy.
You think it's Joe?
I think it might be Joe.
As a healthy scratch?
They need who's going to kill penalties? They need Engvall to kill penalties, and they just got rid of VC, who was out there killing penalties.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about Kerfoot.
That's why it doesn't, like, we got enough bodies as forwards. Unless somebody goes down, look for a defenseman.
Yep. And really, the fourth line plays like 3 minutes in the playoffs.
Right. And like we
figure
just
out the third.
And Robertson's there. Like you could bring him up if you want to throw him in there.
As in an army of guys. They have an army of guys up front.
You could put Patan in the lineup. I don't care. Like Nick Patan
Malgin's going to be back.
Malgin, yeah.
Oh my God.
We talked about it. We talked about so many guys last episode, and I forgot Joey Anderson existed. That guy has a 3-year deal with the Leafs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's enough bodies in the forward group, I think.
I do worry on defense, though, and it's less of a depth thing and more of a type thing. I really like Rasmus Sandin. And it's like I was saying, if Riley went down, that's obviously disastrous. But Sandin can kind of fill that role. And if Dermott goes down, or even if you just want to take Dermott out of the lineup, Sandin can take that spot. I don't really think they have a Brody replacement. I don't know about a Hall.
Right.
And even a Bogosian, you can't just, if Bogosian gets hurt, you can't just be like, all right, Timothy, there you go. Go be Zach Bogosian for a minute there, okay?
Same like Muzzin. Like you have nothing that replaces Muzzin at all.
It's weird to say, but is Jake Muzzin like he's the most important defenseman on the team? What he brings is the rarest.
Yeah.
Pivotal in terms of like you don't replace what he has. You can't.
You know,
Riley's probably the highest skilled defenseman on the team, but Muzzin, and just in terms of his play and his importance, definitely I think number one.
Justin Hall's quietly turning into a workhorse after he looked pretty pedestrian during that slump. He played 23 minutes. Like the most out of anyone. He played 23-44. Only 44 of that was on the penalty kill. He played 23 minutes at even strength.
That's crazy.
On the first half of a back-to-back. Phew. That's a horse.
I think too, you've got with TJ Brody, you've got a guy that can do what Morgan Riley did. He's just not tasked with that.
He could do
TJ
left
Brody
or right.
No, not even that. He could quarterback a power play. He can get points.
He can, and Sandin can. I'm not worried about who's quarterbacking the power play. I'm more worried about the power play doing anything. But in general, even if things were going well, it does suck. Even if things were going well, I'm not terribly worried about that. I'm more worried about the penalty kill. And to the point about the penalty kill, Hutch with that second goal, I don't know if it was deflected. You probably like it to be better, but he was awful, genuinely horrible last season on the penalty kill. I got to look up his save percentage. I think it was like 750 on the penalty
just
kill.
On the penalty kill.
Oh, horrible. And he really, really battled last night on the one kill they had, a couple points in the third. He didn't look like any Michael Hutchinson from last year. That looked like a totally different player. God, I'm excited.
The spot I would look at upgrading is the Dermott spot, because I like Bogosian in the lineup, and then the rest through 4 I'm solid with. But like, if you get upgrade on the Dermott slot, that's cool. Like, I'll take that out of this trade deadline.
But like, it looks like they're looking at Sandin there, and the trade deadline's in 7 days.
Right.
Like, how are you going to properly evaluate there? I want to see what Kyle Dubas is going to surprise us all with. Just surprise us, Kyle. It might be with nothing, by the way.
Yeah. And then the wild card is also the goalie slot. Like, are you comfy with half, 90% Campbell and then Hutch and 50% Anderson right now? Who knows how injured he is?
Have they announced the starter tonight?
No.
It's Jack Campbell, because he was in the home net during practice, and
he was
in the away net.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were, because they were. I was talking in the video today. I'm like, okay, so are they playing coy with him, or is he actually maybe possibly hurt again? And do you have a 6-point cushion on first? Put Vevalainen in, for God's sake. Why? Why are you risking anything? And Anderson, they're keeping that guy locked in the garage. I don't know. Is he done for the season?
It's funny because
going to be back 2 days from now? Is he?
Friedman was saying too that the Leafs have been very tight on it, surprisingly tight, because they're not the type of team to be like, oh, he has a lower body injury, an upper body injury. But this Anderson injury, nobody knows a thing. How long he's supposed to be out, what exactly is the injury. So it's very odd they're keeping it this much of a secret.
Unpopular opinion for Leafs fans anyway. Yes, the Buffalo Sabres should be huge sellers at this deadline. They should also probably move heaven and earth to keep Linus Ullmark.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you suck, you want to hold on to the parts of you that don't. And he doesn't. And like, they don't have a goalie next year. They don't. Except for the guy who's like 500 on the league's worst team, which is a miracle.
All right.
Don't they have points in 4 straight?
He's not coming to Toronto, is what you're saying.
I mean, maybe you could talk him into like going somewhere. Even if Buffalo trades him, they should be like, but we still want you back. Like a pure rental. That's because that's where
you'll be like, from. Yeah, totally.
I'll call you back. I'll call you right back. I'll call you back, Kevin. Bye. Bye. I'm going to enjoy the playoffs now. Bye.
I don't want to live in Toronto at all.
You don't understand Swedish names, guys. My best friend's name is Realtor. It's you don't get it.
Exactly. Okay. I think he'd take the first jet out of there if he could. He'd really just have to drive to the border and hang for a bit. But like, I like Linus Ullmark. I hope he ends up as a Leaf. And if you're the Leafs and you pick up a quote unquote rental, you can always say to them, listen, we have a starting goaltender spot open for next season. Do you want it?
Well, that's interesting. Well, and also, like, here's what excites me about Kyle Dubas. Jack Campbell was not on my friggin' radar last year.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. And I remember looking at the trade and, like, looking at his career and going, yeah? And that's, I think, when I was in my bitter bus phase. And I'm like, oh, he gets another Sioux guy. Loves his guys. Nailed it. His guys are pretty good. Generally speaking, his guys are very good. But I was on my bitter bus, and I want to say they had just lost to the Rangers. He had also just re-signed Martin Marincin. I was on the bitter bus.
Yeah, your bitter bus must not have been a Greyhound.
Whoa!
You see, because the Sioux. Yeah.
Jesse Blake.
I didn't even react because I didn't know how. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands right now.
So what you
Change
guys
the name of the show
Crazy.
to 3 Dads. I want 3 Dads merch. Dad Navy.
Oh man.
No.
Okay,
I love it.
So guys, just so we can cap it, because obviously next week, April 12th, is the trade deadline. We're 7 days away as of this recording. and by the way, it ends at 3:00. It's 3:00 p.m. In Toronto right now as I talk to you.
Yeah.
In exactly 7 days, what is the percentage chance that Kyle Dubas does not make a trade? What's your percentage?
At all? I'm going to say 30.
30%. Jesse, what do you give it?
Kind of high.
I'd say like 15. The Leafs aren't a team to just stay put during a trade deadline. He's going to make, even if it's a depth move, he's going to do something, I think.
What other Sioux Greyhounds are just hanging around the NHL but not playing very much? Like, give me
Also,
somebody.
Adam, what do you think? What's your percentage?
I actually think it's,
Let me look.
I'm going to say 55%.
Oh, wow. So you think it's more than likely?
More than likely, I would say that they're not going to do anything. And I think the reason is we thought it was going to be a buyer's market, but it's turning into teams going, no, I think it's going to, we got a chance. And cool, man. Like, whatever. If you got a chance, that's cool. I like the Leafs, how they stand. I do. I definitely think I'd like to pick up a couple of depth pieces. If you could get 2 depth defensemen, that would be fantastic. However, with what they have, I still think they got a pretty good shot. And I think the Leafs know that. And if you can't find proper value, kind of like what Masai did on the Raptors side, don't just sell Kyle Lowry for everything or for anything. It's got to be the right deal. And if it's not the right deal, then don't take it. And I don't think Kyle Dubas would.
You know, it's hilarious. I didn't realize the Marlies, who have Tyler Gaudette, like, I didn't realize he was a Greyhound too. You know who's second in scoring on the Greyhounds? I think Dubas's last year.
Who?
Jared McCann.
Whoa.
Who the Penguins have absolutely no reason to trade, but you know, I never say never. You know, you never know.
You know?
Other former Greyhounds include Nick Cousins, Ryan Sproul, Colin Miller.
You know what?
I'm
honestly,
sure is available.
Would you not want to give him some sort of shot?
just where? Just
as a depth guy.
It's weird. So the forwards,
like if Bogosian goes down, like you said,
right? The forwards have been in such a blender that like I can Gallyxy brain anything, but the defense has been so rigid that picturing anyone else in any role, my mind explodes. I don't know where Colin Miller goes. I don't even know where guys the Leafs have go. Sandin's the only guy where I'm like, he goes where Dermott. He is Travis Dermott now. Liljegren, like where the which Leaf is the guy he's most like? Justin Hall? I don't know about that, sir. I think what we're coming up with is I don't want anyone to get hurt.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, and that's why
I go out on a limb?
Jesse, you're right. Depth defenseman.
Yeah.
Go on the limb. Go out on 2 limbs, Steve. It's safer.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, and I'm less likely to get hurt. You see,
that's right.
It's too close to the deadline. I don't want to get hurt. Colin Miller. You know what? Dark horse candidate. I got to say,
just because he's an ex-Sioux?
How funny.
Fuck yeah, he's an ex-Sioux. Let's do it.
That'd be so funny. Come on.
Yo, I bet Dubas will hear this and be like, you know what? I could do that for like a conditional 7th. I'll do it just to
fuck with these guys.
No. Just to fuck with these guys will be, I heard them, so now I can't.
Oh.
Can't do it.
And then we hear a report that they were close. And they he didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah. Can't do it. Cannot do it. Oh, boy. Man, I thought, I'm like looking at his numbers. He was a decent Golden Knight, and then he went to Buffalo, and they buffaloed the hell out of that guy. Boy, God, what a bad team. But it's okay. They'll re-sign Linus Ullmark, and it'll be okay. Points in 4 straight.
Oh, that's true. What's the temperature of Buffalo fans right now, would you say?
Oof.
Is it better now? Or is it back to apathetic? Because they were getting angry. Are we back to apathy?
I want to say they like had just ended the streak, and fans went to the game with paper bags on their head, like coming off a win. Like that's pretty tough. But I mean, if you've been waiting months to get your point across to ownership,
you did it.
You did it. No, apathy. I don't think it's apathy. I don't think it's possible for it to be apathy. I think the Sabres fan base is too ridiculous.
Right.
They're too ravenous. It was never really apathetic here, was it? And the Leafs were shit for a long time.
Oh no, it was apathetic. It was Jesse and I were at a game where it was clearly apathetic. Tavares and the Islanders came into town and beat the Leafs 2-1. And the game wasn't sold out. You could buy tickets for $10 out front. Golds for $10.
Oh,
and this was pre the game starting. We had box seats and no one gave a shit. It was terrible. They
were like comp through sales, like our box was comp through sales so that we could give away tickets. And like that's not happening if the Leafs are actually good and people want those tickets.
The sales team said, no thanks, we don't want to bring clients to that game.
Right.
So they gave it to us. The second show. Like the second most important show on the station. Like it was like Roz and Mocha, and then it was us, and it was like, no, well,
now that you mention it, I went to the game where Boyd Devereaux scored a hat trick in his last ever NHL game.
Ooh.
That gave the Leafs the 7th pick instead of the 5th, so that they got Kadri instead of Braden Shen, like they wanted. And I believe I got those tickets because I was an intern at the Fan, and they were just handing them out. So you're like, oh, we're the second show. They didn't even pay me. That's how I got paid.
It was apathetic.
Leafs Sens tickets. You want to see young and bad Brian Elliott?
One thing that surprises people who work outside of sports is how little times you get free tickets to things. People are always like, oh,
almost never.
You work at the Fan, you work at Sportsnet, you must have like, can I get free Raptors tickets? Can I get free Jays tickets? And you're like, no, I don't get those things.
Yeah, no, they go to the sales staff.
Right.
They go to important people like the CEO. Although I will say, when I was working in Calgary, that was like free ticket central because none of the head offices are there. So they'll give you the same amount of tickets for every media outlet. To get the media in there, and the media actually gets to go. It's not like the sales team and their clients. It's actual. So I got to go to a bunch of concerts for free in Calgary because that's what you did. But in Toronto, it's like, well, no, the CEO and his kids want to go, so you're not going.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite in Toronto.
And that's fine. Like, it is what it is. But we got to pay like everybody else. That's fine. But like, it's just one of those where it's like, oh, that was kind of a cool run there that we had in Calgary, you know? That's what lasted. So yeah, no, you get nothing. You get nothing for free. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's like, okay. Yeah, we're not complaining.
No. I mean, listen, the way I look at it is if your company gives you tickets, you're working. And so we've gone to those where like we've had contests, and I know that Jesse and I have been lucky enough that we got to do, I think it was 3 concerts in the box before COVID shut us all down, but it was Post Malone, the Jonas Brothers, and was it something else, or was Swaley open for Post Malone? Yeah. But we had a fucking blast at both shows. The Jonas Brothers by far more fun. It was ridiculous. And but you're working. You're there. We were in the TSN box for Bell Media, and you were there and you were entertaining your listeners. There was 20 listeners there. You're hanging in with them all night, which was totally cool. It was like what we did at the Marlies game. But so it was a great experience, but you're not going to the show to just watch the show. You're there, you're talking, you're getting drinks for people, you're getting food for people. That's the sort of thing that you're doing, which is fine.
It's still that boy Devereaux game was not working. They're just like, here, take this shit.
Take this shit and get out of here.
Take this garbage.
Get him out of the building.
Piece of shit season. You're actively hoping for the team to lose. Here, take this piece of shit.
Steve, let me ask you a question. When the Leafs were that bad and you would go to a game, when you went on the LFR the next morning from your bedroom, from your parents' house, did you say I was there?
Yeah. Well, because it was and still is a big deal to me that I was there.
Sure.
And even when I worked for Leafs TV and I was doing the chats from the Air Canada Center during the game.
So cool.
But I wasn't in the bowl. I was watching on TV like everyone at home. It's just I heard the goal a few seconds before it happened.
Wow.
Because I was actually in the building. But like I've had the opportunity for many years now I could probably go to every game if I made us think about it.
With a press pass.
Yeah. And I don't want to. I want to, like, if I'm going to be a professional fan, which is basically what I am, I want it. It was always such a treat. Like, I got to go to one game a year, if that, when I was younger. And I like it to, I think in a few recent years I've been to like 4, 5, or 6, which that's a lot for most people.
Yeah.
And it's still,
oh my God, it's an enormous amount.
Yeah. But I could go to 41. And I don't want to. I like it to be special. I like to, hey, I'm at this one. Mm-hmm. So this game means something. Like I was at a game, I want to say I went to what ended up being one of Curtis Joseph's last ever wins.
Cool.
It was an overtime win against Atlanta. And Jeremy Williams got hurt that game. I remember that was the first season where he played more than one game and actually went on a little stretch and he got hurt and he never really got a shot in the NHL after that, like a sustained one. I remember all the shit.
I remember Gretzky's last game in Toronto. I was here for that. I went to that game.
Oh my God.
And I was in the upper reaches of Maple Leaf Gardens with my mom and with a bunch of Rangers fans randomly. There's just like a ton of Rangers fans there that day. And they were telling me about how Ulf Samuelsson ended Nick Kypreos' career. I didn't know that at that point. And then they told me about that. Was it Ulf Samuelsson? No. Punch. What was the punch? Is it not Ulf Samuelsson?
No. Started with a V. I don't remember.
Okay. Well, anyway, long story short, there was like, you remember those moments. I remember being close enough once that Ty Domi and Christoph Oliwa had just fought, and the puck went into Christoph Oliwa's penalty box, and he flipped the puck back over to the fans, and I was the one that caught it. And it was pretty cool. Yeah.
The closest I got to that was I went to a Raptors game, and there happened to be a puck on the ground.
That's pretty cool.
No, Ryan Vandenbush.
Was Ryan Vandenbush?
In a preseason game. Ended Nick Kypreos' career.
Well, there you go. I want to quickly ask you guys about just one thing that bothered me last night that's been bothering me. At what point do we say the Tavares line, which had 4 combined total points last night, 5, at what point do we say they're not struggling anymore? Because they're not struggling, and they haven't been struggling.
Last week.
people continue to say that they're struggling.
Now that it's Tavares, Nylander, Gouch.
Yeah.
That line
is not struggling.
They look pretty good.
Well, that was the thing, is that like on the broadcast last night, you had the guys saying, well, they're struggling. I don't think so, man.
Yeah, they struggled like 2 Thursdays ago. Like that's when it seemed when it kind of ended.
Am I being too hard to bring that up? Because it doesn't feel like they're struggling to me.
They were struggling to actually put the puck in the net.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't think they've played a single bad game as a unit. I think they've simply struggled to get the result on occasion, but that's very quickly going away.
Okay. Well, there you go. Have you heard about Blinkist? It is the most useful app on your phone that you haven't downloaded yet. I'm serious. This is an app that's so cool because it takes information from a book and condenses it to 15 minutes, which you can watch or listen to. And if you're like me, you live a busy, crazy life. And that's why Blinkist is so important. It takes away the key takeaways from any book that you need to read. One of my favorites, it's you're going to laugh at this. It's called Everything is Fucked. And it's a book about hope. And I read it once and I didn't quite fully get the whole takeaway thing from it. Sometimes you read a book and you're like, I don't know. Anyway, I thought, okay, I'll go on my Blinkist app. I'll check it out. I read it and it gave me all the key things that I should have taken away from it. And that's what's so great about Blinkist. And you know that anybody successful will tell you, read as many books as you possibly can. And Blinkist allows you to do that. So what you want to do, we can get you unlimited access to read or listen to a massive library of condensed nonfiction books, all the books you want for a low price. Right now, for a limited time, go to Blinkist.com/SDP and try it free for 7 days and save 25% off your new subscription. That's Blinkist, spelled Blinkist, Blinkist.com/SDP to start your 7-day trial. And you'll also save 25% off, but only when you sign up at Blinkist.com/SDP. The other thing I want to mention, Kyle Palmieri held out this week in anticipation of a trade. When's the last time you saw that?
It's announced by the agent. I can't remember.
Do you think the agent's upset about that? Like, why would the agent tweet that out?
Turn up the heat.
So he wants to leave.
Well, it's not just he wants to leave. I mean, I'm sure he does if that's what the agent's tweeting, right? The agent's there for your wishes. That's why we turned up the heat so much on Marc-Andre Fleury when Alan Walsh tweeted what he did during the playoffs. We're like, well, I mean, he pays the guy, so that is what he thinks, actually. And if it's not, he should be canned or whatever. But anyway, that's we don't need to exhume that corpse. But it gets more attention on his client, more fanfare. Ooh, Kyle Palmieri, this great trade chip. Then people start talking about him. They go through his numbers, his accomplishments. Anything that makes his client seem like a bigger deal is going to put money in both their pockets. You know, and it sounds better that my client got traded for a first round pick. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or, you know what I mean? You want, I don't know how the player thinks, but if you're an agent, you want your player to be traded for a shitload. You want the cost to be sky high. And Palmieri, I mean, that's a very good player.
Yep.
Very good player. I mean, based on how the season has gone, you want Hall or Palmieri? Hall's going to be fascinating, man. But I feel like there are certain teams he could go to and he would struggle, but we all know what's going to happen. He's going to go to the Bruins for a second and a third and score 40 goals.
Yep.
Right? We all know this is happening. Are we preparing for this?
No, the Bruins they always win the trade deadline. They always do.
Right. And they're going to get Hall and Ekholm.
And they get to dangle Jake DeBrusk this year because apparently they don't like him anymore.
But
I don't know why.
And he's coming to Canada.
Yeah.
And he's going to play on it's going to be a line of like Dubois, Scheifele, DeBrusk in an all Leafs murderers line. Just get out of my face.
Killer. DeBrusk is a Leaf.
No shit.
Yeah.
He won game 6 on his own in 2019. Oh God, I'm still bitter.
What if
I'm still bitter.
Is there a possibility that like a team like Washington goes after Taylor Hall?
That's interesting. I thought you were going to say DeBrusk.
Well, no, maybe DeBrusque, but I like, to me, it sort of seems like Washington is a bit of a sleeper right now.
Okay.
No one's talking about them, but they're the number one team in the, well, they're not the number one team. Sorry. Florida's the number one team, but they're like number 2 in the NHL.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess everyone's Twitter experience is unique to who they follow, but all I follow are Washington Capitals fans tweeting game in and game out about how shitty they are. And they are very literally tied for second in the NHL. Yeah. And I don't know what you're talking about. They have no, guys. I found what it is. What is it? Well,
they allow a lot of goals.
They do allow a lot of goals.
Like their defense actually, and goaltending isn't that great.
I started sarcastic, and I'm going to dial that back. So out of the... No way. What?
That's a lot of goals.
Out of the... Okay. They're second in the NHL. And if you go down the list of teams ranked in the NHL, you have to go all the way down to Nashville at 16th to find a team that has allowed more goals than them.
The Leafs, for reference, have only allowed 95 this year. So, but they're still number one.
Games? In the same amount of
I don't
games.
know if it's the same, but it's like one or two.
No, it is. I'm telling you.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah. Same amount of games.
Okay.
Dear.
So double down on what you're good at. Taylor Hall.
I think that's a team that could probably use a defender. I think that'd be good.
Or maybe a goalie.
Or well, I don't know how their goalies are doing. This season has been absolutely ridiculous to keep up with. And Carter Verhaeghe and Mason Marchment are on the same line. One is viewed as a god, the other is viewed as a bum. Mason Marchment got he's like, what is he, a point a game? He just got a 1-year, $800,000 extension. What the?
Can I give you Washington's goalie stats?
Mm-hmm.
So, Vitek Vanacek, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah,
907, 2.71 GAA.
I mean, it's not good. It's
and
not
then
great.
Ilya Samsonov, 896.
Oh dear!
In 13 games.
And that's supposed to be their guy.
They got two guys, their two starting goalies, hovering around 900, which isn't great.
Okay, what if you call the Canucks and you say, "Can I have Braden Holtby in his super cool hat?" For $2 million.
The other thing that I haven't seen talked about very much is they have not ruled out Henrik Lundqvist coming back.
Right.
Oh, that would be cool.
He hasn't played a game yet this season, right?
No, but he's been on the ice for a while now.
Okay.
After getting heart surgery.
Imagine. But he comes back and he's with the number 1 team in the division, number 2 in the league. This is a better shot than he ever would have got in New York to do it. You know he's working for it. You know he wants it.
As any competitor would, right? And Henrik Lundqvist is an extreme competitor. Boy, there's such risks associated, not just with the surgery that he got, but the season in which he got the surgery. But that would be, I mean, they wouldn't have to get it done by a certain point. They still have over a month of games left to see what Henrik Lundqvist potentially has.
What about?
I think it's a long shot still. But.
You send them Anderson, and they send back Ovi plus Vrana.
Fair trade. I like it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems fair.
Yeah.
Leafs still go 0 for 28 on the power play. Over 280.
I like that.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Okay. So with the rest of the league quickly here before we get into the trade deadline. Not the trade deadline, my God. I do want to ask the question about Florida. Now, there was a few years ago, and this was pre-Jesse. This is how many years ago this was. So it would be 7 years ago, where the Colorado Avalanche they were on this PDO bender like you've never seen before.
The Patrick Waugh head coach of the year season.
That's bingo. Nailed
Shoved
it.
Over the stanchion and just give him the Jack Adams right now.
He won the Jack Adams when he pushed through the glass.
Yeah, and they lost in the first round.
They did.
Yeah.
They
challenged Bruce Boudreau to a fight. What a hero.
Is Florida that? Are the Panthers that? Because that team had a lot of good players and a really good goalie. But there were some massive holes. Are the Florida Panthers that, or are the Florida Panthers for real?
I think they're for real with an enormous asterisk in the same way that the Islanders are.
The Islanders have made the second round 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
right.
The Islanders are good.
Right. But they're missing Anders Lee.
Right.
And the Panthers, who are also very good, are now without Aaron Ekblad. And neither team looks like they're going to get their guy back. If the Panthers went a round or two, I wonder if they would get Ekblad back. Because wasn't it 4 to 6 weeks?
You know what? I don't know. Don't know. Jesse will check that.
It looked like he might be back, but like he won't be Aaron Ekblad back.
It was 12 weeks as of March 30th.
Ooh.
So this week, basically. So 12 weeks from like Friday.
He could play in like the cup final.
Yeah.
And he might be Aaron Ekblad. I mean, you don't know.
Okay.
You go that long.
Adam.
Go that long without playing.
That was Aaron Ekblad. Damn it. You don't talk shit about Aaron Ekblad. I love that guy.
I don't know. I really like the Panthers this year because of guys who have like out of nowhere kind of stepped up that have been bubbling under. Like a guy like Carter Verhaeghe. You know, you don't really expect 17 goals and almost a point a game out of the dude when he hits 25. You're kind of like, you are what you are. But like he's stepped up, and then every season everybody's like, oh, Barkov and Huberdeau are so underrated. And this year they're doing the same thing they've been doing every year, except now their team's actually winning, so it's unbelievable. And then all this stuff with Keith Yandel preseason where they're going to scratch him for his game streak, and then the whole team kind of it rallied around that. And now Yandel's been on a little bit of a tear. Like they've come together and Mackenzie Weegar, forget to, great season. And like it seems like there's so many guys who are playing, I don't want to say above their ability, but have taken a next step this season, and it's all come together at once, which is the perfect storm for a team that's overachieving like they are. So yeah. I don't know if these things aren't usually sustainable through a playoffs. So I'm not putting my money on them going deep, but I definitely like what they're doing in the regular season. I don't know if it's a PDO bender, but they're definitely coming together.
I mean, guys, we could talk about the success of the Florida Panthers, but let's talk about the real hero here. Me. Did you see my clip?
What?
Did you see my clip from 2015, almost 6 years ago, where I was talking about the trade that sent Michael Grabner to the Leafs?
For Taylor Beck and Carter Verhaeghe and all those guys?
It was Taylor Beck, Matt Finn, another guy, Chris Gibson. I don't even remember the names of all five guys.
There's contract slots. That's all.
Yeah.
And there was Carter Verhaeghe. And I talked about the trade in a video, and I said, paraphrasing here, but it was basically, out of all the guys the Leafs traded, Carter Verhaeghe is the one I am most worried about. And like Matt Finn was a former second round pick. Chris Gibson was like a pretty decent AHL goalie at that point, but I said Carter Verhaeghe. A bit of a late bloomer, but like his OHL career was amazing. He tore the shit out of the ECHL, did not belong there at all. Really good AHL player. He just needed the opportunity.
And he went through the Tampa Bay system.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's not discount that. I mean, the Leafs were not ready to develop a guy like Carter Verhaeghe. Like, they rehabbed Galch a little bit this year. They've done that with some other players as well. Some found money there. That's great. The Leafs organization at that point could never have fostered the success that Carter Verhaeghe has seen. No way.
I think they could have. The problem was they didn't have the space for him, because that season was the season they were trying to be last. So we're talking here's just a list of guys who are Marlies: Kapanen, Connor Brown, Zach Hyman, Nikita Soshnikov, William Nylander. And that's just off the top of my head.
Garrett Sparks.
Garrett's
wasn't he?
Yeah. Chris Gibson. Mm-hmm. Or no, he wasn't. He got traded. My bad. Antoine Bibeau was the other one.
Yeah.
Antoine Bibeau was the other one.
That's right.
And then they were good the next year, and then the year after they won the Calder Cup. So we're talking about a jacked system, and like, I don't care how good of a practicer you are. If you can't get in the lineup, I don't know what you're going to do. They would have sent him to the E2.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember, this is his third organization. Anybody that's saying, well, the Leafs made a huge error in trading Carter Verhaeghe in 2014 or whatever it was.
Come on.
Sorry, but
No, the Islanders traded him for your favorite goalie, Adam.
Who's that?
They traded him straight up for Christus.
And he does have a cup ring with Tampa, if I remember correctly.
He does.
Yes, he does.
You get into a playoff game, you get your name on the Stanley Cup, and he was in 8 games last year.
Yeah, it's a certain. He met the criteria.
Yeah,
and I think
which is pretty cool.
I think I definitely think that had an effect. Like that's why I say I think he went through the Tampa system and really benefited from that. And look at his play since then. Good for him. Really happy for him. If you're asking me to be upset that the Leafs lost him, I'm not.
No.
People are like, well, the Leafs, that would have been that's the depth piece they needed.
Wow.
No.
Someone goes, okay, if it takes you 6 years to regret something, then don't.
Mm-hmm. Then you don't need to regret it.
They also have Mason Marchment playing for the Florida Panthers.
He's played well.
So there you go. Do we miss him on the Marlies?
Mason Marchment's not on the Leafs. Like he's not in the lineup.
He would have gotten games, but no, he's not. No.
Guys,
well, and it's funny
Dennis
though
Malkin's
because
coming back. Okay, help us on the way.
He is all right. No, I saw someone went side by side. It's Leafs fans' reaction to Mason Marchment. Just based on his stats. We blew it. This guy, he's so good. I told you. And then Panthers fans actually watching him, and they're just like, this guy's driving me absolutely insane.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing against him, but it's just like, come on. I mean, there are division winners who are like perennial killers. Like you look at Boston, Tampa, and you look at Carolina, and Nashville was like that for a while. Chicago was like that for a while. And then there's every once in a while, something weird happens, and a team that has kind of cobbled it together with some duct tape and glue, like the Panthers have, comes out of nowhere, does really, really well. We'll see next season, and we'll see through the playoffs, I guess, if they can sustain it. It's not that I don't have faith in the Panthers. Their story is so much fun, but I'm trying to figure out, what do we owe this success to? Obviously, an incredible head coach, and there has always been great talent there. Always. But they have a $10 million goalie who can't get a save percentage above .890. There's a lot of things that could have dragged this team down. It's amazing what they've done. And maybe that Yandel thing in the same sort of vein that the Muzzin flipping the puck at Tkachuk, there's those little moments at the beginning of the season when everybody's kind of coming in where it's like, this is our statement.
Yeah. And hockey teams work like that too. Like it takes like a moment for everybody to come together, and that might have been it. Also, like Adam, you said, the coaching. Joel Quenneville. Now I know people are talking about that. Just getting this guy who's like on the pantheon of head coaches to come and coach these young guys and finally put a team together. It's probably did wonders for their organization.
Literally looks like the Panther in your logo.
And it does.
Like exact replica.
You got to give the Panthers kudos for sticking to their plan, which the whole time was to become the old Blackhawks. The Panthers became the old Blackhawks better than the Blackhawks did. It's true. And now they're in the same division.
I thought you were going to say genuine about them, like committing through this rebuild.
I am being genuine about it.
What are the similarities?
Stuck to the plan.
What are the similarities?
Joel Quenneville, especially. No, it's just over the years they've acquired like every Blackhawk. But really, it's just what it is.
Dale Talon was their GM.
Yeah, and Dale Talon was their GM. No, what it really is Joel Quenneville is coaching a very talented team, and he's putting emphasis on his stars and giving opportunities to guys who could use it. Like Carter Verhaeghe is just like a mini version of Vegas's entire roster from a few years ago.
Yeah,
like William Karlsson. William Karlsson was the last. Like, he was a different version of Carter Verhaeghe, just a career fourth liner who was finally given an opportunity as a first.
Do you remember Justin Bourne's tweet that there was? So Justin Bourne tweeted, whoever allowed William Karlsson, he said something along the lines of, whoever allowed William Karlsson to go in Columbus needs to be fired. And the guy that let him go tweeted at him. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. We had our own internal metrics, and then the guy deleted his account. Yeah, because a bunch of people were like, "Oh yeah, cool." Like
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, it was good.
So what about all your tweeting is that your metrics stink?
Yeah, we self-own, so our metrics don't work.
It's that friggin' reaction that's worse though. You get how that's worse.
It was great.
Right?
Sometimes it rarely happens now. And I think about kind of the Wild West days, 2011 through 2015. And you guys remember this, like things were much wilder on Twitter. They were far less expected. And you had so many more of those little arguments that Justin Bourne in that microcosm, that would have been a daily occurrence between people. Now they take it offline or they just don't talk to you.
All right, but those are the tweets now that are getting people canceled, Yeah,
like
bring them up.
I mean, no, well, I don't mean like, it's racist. It was cool when we could all be racist, wasn't it? I meant like in a hockey argument situation.
So somebody's gonna clip that.
Yeah, well,
it's gonna be out of bounds.
No, you just reminded me of another Bourne one. Well, first he came on our show and talked about how he played John Scott in college, and not only was he the worst player he'd ever played against, but John Scott lifted him up by the groin. He had his stick between his legs and just went seesaw and picked him right up. But I remember a Twitter exchange. He was tweeting about the Preds had this goalie named Carter Hutton, who he didn't think was very good. This was pre-good season, big contract Carter Hutton. He was tweeting about how he's bad. And he got called out by either a current or former teammate of Carter Hutton's by the name of Rich Clune.
Ooh.
And they later became coworkers.
Wow. What did Rich Clune say?
I can't remember. He was basically like, you don't know what you're talking about. Blah, blah. Well, because this is former teammate.
Yeah.
Right? And Carter Hutton. I mean, you can't blame a guy for sticking up for his goalie.
Okay, last question.
I don't remember exactly what he said.
Last question, are they for real? Are the Minnesota Wild for real?
Yeah.
They are, eh?
Yeah. They're getting goaltending. Shit. And it's amazing. I know with hockey, we always talk about, stars can't have as big an impact as obviously the NBA because they have like a third of the players.
Mm-hmm.
But Kirill Kaprizov got one supercharged rookie is just a bolt of lightning. And if you add in a couple saves, you're a playoff team.
Did you see that Athletic article where they asked NHL executives about trades that fans had submitted? And the Kirill Kaprizov and a first rounder for Jack Eichel, and all the NHL executives are like, no way, you never do that. You finally got this guy. Now you want to see what he is. It's like, no, I don't. I want to see what Jack Eichel is over here. Like, that's what I would say. But the NHL execs are like, no, keep Kaprizov.
Here, let me.
It's funny.
So what was it?
So basically, Jesse, you're NHL fan, and I think it was LeBrun that did the article. LeBrun asks you and the million other people that follow him, hey, give me your trade, your interesting trade takes, what you think could happen, or what you think could be fair value. I'm going to ask my NHL executive contacts.
That's cool.
And so they're all like, NHL executive X, Y, and Z, and it's a really cool concept for an article. And so one of them was Kirill Kaprizov and a first for Jack Eichel. And the three executives asked to a man said, no, absolutely not.
I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't? I would totally do that.
You know what?
No, I'm not taking the contract and Eichel for a guy who I think can I have a guy who future Eichel. I have him.
I have a guy who I don't have to pay money for 3 years.
I'm not paying $10.5 million every year.
I'm already paying too much to Parise and Suter. I gotta save the money. Ownership, here was the one I responded to. This is what I thought you were talking about. I got the wrong one.
Okay.
Jay Fresh Hockey got this little excerpt. Exec. It would be a great trade for the Wild if it was Dumba and a first. I don't know what the context is. I don't know if that's referring to Eichel. So it would be a great trade for the Wild if it was Dumba and a first. I like Sean Couturier. He's not a number one center, but he's really an elite guy that everyone used to think was a third line center, but is a definite second line center. He's kind of a modern day version of Ron Francis.
Oh my God.
To which I tweeted, Ron Francis is fifth in all-time NHL scoring. Ron Francis was a second line center in the same way that Evgeny Malkin is a second line center. Like,
this is Hall of Famer.
Mario Lemieux was the first line center. Like, what?
Right. Like, what are these good comparisons?
Noted second line center Mark Messier. Shut up. Like, that's a horrible take.
Absolutely crazy.
That's a horrible.
Anyways,
horrible
I'm keeping Kaprizov. That's all I know.
I think you guys are both wrong.
You take I take the 5th round pick winger who's just gonna stick around on my team for the next 5 years over the Eichel. I gotta pay $10 million. I can go get somebody else to play with Kaprizov. Taking the young guy.
This is a take, both of you.
It's not. I don't know.
I'm standing on the right side of history. I will guarantee you. In the comment section, I guarantee you, people are gonna go. You guys are nuts.
You should take Jack Eichel.
No, Jack Eichel is gonna be when he's on an actual team. Jack Eichel's gonna be a 100-point a year player.
And if I had wheels, it'd be a wagon.
But he's not on a real team. Come on, you can't judge.
Oh, if he was on, the Minnesota Wild,
they're a real team.
Kaprizov He's making them a real team, Adam.
Right.
You got to see the light. And think about it. With all the cap space that you save by having Kaprizov instead of Eichel, you can go out and make at least 2 terrible signings.
Right.
Yeah.
And just tie those anchors to his ankles.
This is the thing, though. The Wild are so good at that. Then it's like, why not guarantee that you're going to tie up the money on somebody great? Right? At least the $10 million is going to somebody who's worth it.
I take the $10 million in cap space. Whatever I sign Kaprizov off saves a couple $1 million. So you take the Kaprizov and like $8 million. I take that over Jack Eichel.
And sign 2 aging Tyler Bozaks. I can't wait.
Well, don't do that then.
Center depth.
You know what? You could afford Jeff Skinner at that price.
Oh, no.
Package deal. All right, now we're talking. All right.
Yo. So let's get into the press conference. It's April, which usually means playoff time, which usually means heartbreak time. At least if you're a listener on this podcast. Sad, depressing, angry. But one thing that does keep you going is knowing that the picks that you made were fantastic. Your team may not survive in the playoffs, but your picks might. And that's why you should check out BetMGM. Now, at The Athletic, there's a lot of experts and insiders bringing you all the latest news, trends, and insights on the playoffs, plus their picks for every single game. And I think maybe you might want to know that The Athletic has partnered with BetMGM to bring you the best exclusive offer to bet alongside and win. Right now, we're offering Steve Dangle Podcast listeners a risk-free first bet up to $600. Just sign up at BetMGM.com and use the bonus code TWOPOD, TWOPOD, to take advantage of this special offer from the King of Sportsbooks. This offer is for new customers. That's a risk-free bet up to $600 at BetMGM.com with the bonus code. You ready for that? TWOPOD, TWOPOD. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Here's the disclaimer.
Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, or West Virginia only. Excludes Michigan disassociated persons. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, Nevada, and Virginia. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help in Michigan. 1-800-GAMBLER in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. And 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. In Tennessee, call or text the red line at 800-889-9789. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. Promotional offer not available in Nevada.
All right.
Email for those two is tough.
Do you guys want to complete our contest that we ran?
Oh, yes, please. Okay, so for anybody that missed it last episode, we were doing a contest on photoshopping the food that Erik Karlsson was eating into his press conference photo. Now, Jesse, you tweeted the photo out. People tweeted their thing back, and the thing was he was eating an apple, and it was, as Jeff Merrick pointed out, it was a power fruit. That's a powerful food.
Magically powerful fruit. And
yes.
Jesse has narrowed it down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 finalists.
The Elite 7. The best Erik Karlsson photoshops we could find, starting with Jonathan.
That's Erik Karlsson
real name?
eating his contract. For anybody listening.
It's entrant
number 1.
All right. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Number 2.
Erik Karlsson.
This is from Sean.
Scooby Snacks. Okay.
Scooby
very
Snacks.
Good. The nutritional label is that's a touch.
That is it. You know what? Good point, Steve. Very good touch.
That's good. So for anybody listening, you can see these on the SDPN YouTube channel if you want to watch this portion of the video. This one is Erik Karlsson eating an onion from Leafs News 29_JL on Twitter.
I know what you were going for. The red eyes are a bit too. Why are his pupils red?
They're a bit too call me by your name.
I was about to say he looks like he's with Little Nas X in hell.
He does. He does.
All right, next up.
At least he's gonna get a cool lap dance out of it.
You know what? It's a bop.
Is this a
Very-
fuck? It's a good song.
I like that tune. Anyway,
This one is Carlson eating avocado, and he's questioning, is it green or yellow? Which is a podcast joke.
that's a throwback. That's at least like what, 4 years?
Yeah,
it's a
referring
long
to
time
our
ago.
tennis ball argument. Our tennis ball is orange or yellow,
Very good. Respect.
Throwing it back.
Respect.
or green or yellow. Sorry.
All right, where are we at? Number 5. Okay, so this is from Jonathan Atler. This is Eric Carlson.
What's he eating? A puck?
I think it's a puck and 2 Norris trophies, right?
Yeah, he's eating a hockey puck, and his 2 Norris trophies are right next to him.
I've played
fun.
way better. I
That he
like
won-
it.
Not bad.
That he won with the rebuilding Ottawa Senators. Crazy how he did that.
It's
And,
good, John. It's busy.
You know
what I mean?
Steve.
Yeah. And then
There
we
you
got
go.
There he is eating a hot dog.
RAV87. Eric is eating a hot dog, and next to him is the photo of Phil Kessel.
See, that's the great touch. If it was just the hot dog, I'd be like, all right, because the hot dog is not tied to Eric Carlson. You attach the Kessel brand, I'm laughing. That's very good.
And last up, we got this is Radioactive Spider Pod on Twitter. They said they photoshopped Eric Carlson eating a green pepper, and then they photoshopped Carlson into Steve, who ate a green pepper live on the show, and he's vomiting into a garbage can.
Why are you like hugging me as I'm vomiting into a recycle bin?
Is the edit? I don't think I was hugging you in real life.
Yeah, I'd like to go back and see the footage on that. That's
Damn.
amazing.
Well, radioactive spider pod made me believe that was real, and I was there.
All right, so Adam and
Whoa.
Steve, you guys are the judges. You turned around your chairs to which Photoshop. These are the top 7. You got to pick. You got to decide on one. That'll get a Dangle Navy bomber jacket.
Steve,
The contract one is very clever. I also like the hot dog touch. I think I'm gonna have to give it to the barf pepper.
Well, yeah, it's hard to not love that one. I have to say everybody else ruled, but yeah, I'm gonna give it to that one because the edit. It's not even the edit on the actual Eric Carlson photo. It's the Carlson edited into our podcast that looks really real.
It's
Like,
really
they did a
good.
job. Like, it was
Very good.
surprisingly. So contract definitely comes second to me. Scooby Snacks comes third, but number 1 for sure is Eric Carlson with the green pepper.
All right,
You're
look out
all
for a
winners
DM.
to me.
Nope, we have one. All of you, all of you lost. So don't listen.
That's not
to
true.
Steve.
6 of
One
them
winner and a
lost.
bunch of losers.
So Radioactive Spider Pod, look for a DM from probably me, and I'll
Lucky
let
you.
you know how to get the Dangle Navy jacket out to you.
Do we have any questions for the podcast today, sir?
We do. We have tons of them.
Hey, fellas, we're in the thick of winter and a storm's brewing. It looks like 1 to 3 inches are in the forecast when you trim that hibernation bush that's taking place in your pants. Seriously. Luckily, our partners at Manscaped specialize in products to make sure you're walking around town with those beautiful snowballs. Manscaped is here to provide the best tools for your grooming experience, offering precision engineered tools for your family jewels. We're talking about the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer, which is the best hygiene tool for the modern man. Because of their ceramic blade and advanced skin-safe technology, your snags on the snowballs will be reduced. The trimmer is also waterproof, so you can trim in the shower. It's a lot easier, right? Manscaped Performance Package is the best buy of 2021. The package comes with a new and improved Lawnmower 3.0, Weed Whacker, ear and nose trimmer, performance boxer briefs, which I have and I'm wearing, and they're comfortable, and a travel bag to put it all in. You don't have to put your underwear in, though. That's okay. 20% off, free shipping at manscaped.com. All you have to do is use the code DANGLE, DANGLE. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code DANGLE. Thanks, Manscaped, for making our winter wieners look so good. Let's get to them.
All right. So
oh no, go ahead.
what's up?
I was gonna say, are we bringing up the Canucks?
I mean, we could. I just thought it was sort of overdone and depressing.
My only people
Is that not fair? Does anybody want to hear about how the massive crisis happening in Vancouver right now?
First question, why does Adam not care about people getting COVID?
Oh, I for sure care. But it's sad. Like, it just sucks. Everything about that story sucks, and it would have sucked the energy out of the show.
No, so here's Adam on this one and on a variety of topics. He'll be like, okay, yes, it's an important topic. What is there? And the thing with the Canucks and COVID, because I'm sure people are like, surely you're going to talk about this. Well, all I've seen on Twitter is confusion, and they're sicker than has been reported, or they're actually healthier than has been reported. And I think we just need to let this play out.
Yeah. And I understand and respect people that say, well, they just shouldn't finish the season. But I have to tell you, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they want to finish the season because that's what they do. This is what professional athletes do. It's, you know what, if it were me, it would be what I would want to do. And I understand that's not everybody's decision. But yeah, I would want to finish as well. And I don't think I think if you didn't expect this to happen at least once or 10 times, which is what I expected, then I don't know what to tell you. These things do happen when you have an infectious disease. That's an issue. And my thing about staying away from it on the podcast had nothing to do with disrespect for the Canucks. A, we don't know anything. Right. B, it's depressing and sad. And I'm trying to keep the show, because the world right now is kind of depressing and sad. When I prep the show, I'm trying to steer away from that as much as possible.
Also, we have seen this twice already. The Sabres had it, and the Dallas Stars missed the entire beginning portion of the season, and they've been playing catch up ever since. Their outbreak was just as bad. We don't need to compare outbreaks, but the Stars went through this and the Sabres went through this. And it's a thing that's we thought was going to happen, and it has happened several times.
I have to wonder too, if you're an NHL player and you're a player of, you're a person of means, if you're an NHL player, whether or not you're making the playoffs or not. Like, if the teams that are making the playoffs, that if they can't get a vaccine in Canada, I'm talking about the Canadian teams, that because they're going to the States to play, they're going to get a vaccine like immediately as soon as they cross that border. But even if you're a player on, say, I don't know, Calgary, that's not going to make it, do you not just book your vacation and spend 3 months down there and go, I don't care what it takes, give me the damn vaccine? Like Jax from our morning show, her niece, who is 17, just got vaccinated in Florida. You know what I mean?
I don't have an answer for you, man.
I feel like, man, I'd be running down there. Sign me up. Let's go. So anyway, long story short, I think the Canucks situation is terribly sad, and you feel terrible for all involved. I just feel like, what are we going to say that's going to add to that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Glad I brought it up. And everyone feels better.
That's all.
Yeah.
All right. First question. We had a preemptive question on the whole Nashville thing. This one came from Dan Henderson. He said, hope you guys had a great holiday weekend, but I just got to know, did Adam eat some crow for his Easter meal now that the Preds are in a playoff spot and they're 8-2 in their last 10? Doesn't sound like a nothing team to me. Woo. Adam?
They're a nothing team, and Dallas is going to make the playoffs, so it's going to be the Preds who are out. Ask the last fan base how they felt when they told me to eat crow. How's Montreal doing? Jason Spezza's got more points than Josh Anderson.
What happened there?
Josh Anderson is overpaid is what happened.
Yeah, but he started the season unbelievably.
But he's never been much more than a half a point a game player. Has he? Has he ever had the 60, 70 point season?
He had the one season where he had 27 goals. I don't know how many assists there were. I think he had more goals than assists. But even just from a pace standpoint, for crying out loud, even Tyler Toffoli has slowed down a bit, but he's still Tyler Toffoli.
Okay, so here's the deal. The Montreal Canadiens paid a guy whose career high was 47 points. They paid him, what was it, $7 million a year?
I think it was 5 times 7.
5 times 7? Okay, fine. Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. And his previous career high before that was 30 points. Josh Anderson is Josh Anderson.
I love how you're using the Pred segment to shit on the Habs.
Oh. I mean,
7 times 5.5.
Okay.
38.5 mil.
I guess what you would expect a guy to score about 40 points for $5 million, right?
I mean, I would expect more. TBH, I'd expect more than 40 points. Mm-hmm. I'd expect 40 points this year. Right. You know what I mean? In 56 games.
I think it comes back to that. Beyond that, I'm not eating crow. I don't think the Predators are very good. I can't imagine that you do either. They've had a good 10-game stretch. Sure. Awesome.
Well, it's like a Sabres fan going to us right now. Hey, points in 4 straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Not looking so bad now, are we?
They're not. Woo! Everybody knows Nashville's not a very good team this year. And even if they did make the playoffs, which I don't think they will, I think Dallas will catch them. Dallas, who had COVID at the beginning of the season, are still somehow 500 and on their way up. Still played less games than basically everybody. I just don't see how the Predators can sort of. I don't think they survive in the first round very long, and I think everybody knows that. And even if they did, even if they do miss and Dallas gets in, which I think they will, I mean, you can't be happy with the way that roster is constructed. You got, with Turris there, when he was there, you had basically 3 second-line centers, and Turris is now, a third guy in Edmonton at a discount rate.
He's getting close to waiver, dude.
It doesn't look like Ryan Johansson's ever going to be the guy they thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be a star. I thought that guy was going to be a star.
He had a serious injury, and I can't remember what it was. Remember he had an infection?
Was it a staph infection?
He had some sort of something really nasty that basically ruined that playoff run where Nashville made it to the final.
Yeah.
And, that can mess with your career. I can't remember what it was. It was lower body.
Listen, I'm not saying he hasn't tried. And I think Matt Duchene's always going to be a second-line guy. He's not a guy that makes teams. I think they're better with him, but I don't know if he makes them necessarily. How do you sum up Matt Duchene, Steve? It's hard to. And it's not.
I would never call him a bad player.
He's not.
I'd never call Duchene a bad player, or Monahan, who always gets brought up on this show. But I don't love them as number one center options. You know,
I don't think you're going to see them. I could be wrong, but I don't think you're going to see either of those guys holding up the Stanley Cup as the number one center. I just don't think any. Yeah, I don't think franchises are building around those guys. I don't. So, no, I'm not eating crow on the Nashville Predators. I'm still a non-believer, and count me as a big believer in the Dallas Stars.
All right. Next question. We got to throw it back a little. So a couple people have tweeted us this. The most recent one is at Kia Likes Hockey. Jacob Smallwood is a point-a-game player right now for the Winnipeg Ice in the WHL. Now, Jacob Smallwood is somebody that Steve bullied a long time ago because I'm joking. We used to do a segment on this where we would read WHL draft names.
Yep.
And because they're always the most hockey names. And Jacob Smallwood was one of those names.
Yep.
And we made fun of it. Not just Steve. We all did. We all made fun of it. And then the real Jacob Smallwood heard the segment and he ended up getting a copy of your book, Steve, and you spoke to him?
How it first started was I got a tweet from this girl whose last name was Smallwood, and she posted a video of a boy, like a teenage high school 14. Student boy, sadly eating salad and listening to that clip. And I quickly figured out it was Jacob Smallwood. And you can read about it in my compilation of zoo stories. This team is ruining my life.
Where was that sitting? Why do you have that just on hand during the podcast?
This is my house.
Do you just have books everywhere?
No, I have books some places. Here specifically. What? If there was any room in this house it made sense to have this book, it'd be this one.
Steve, why do you not have that book on the wall with a figurine of you?
Yo, I should do that.
You should do that.
I should do that. The only problem is this is the advanced reading copy, so it's not even the real one. But
isn't that rare? Isn't that rarer?
Yes, it is actually. Yeah. It is, but there's way more mistakes.
So there's a whole chapter in your book on this Jacob Smallwood.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is. It's not a particularly long one. It's just one page, front and back. But I said at the very end, the last line, I promise this right now, if he makes it to the show, I'm getting a Smallwood jersey. And let me just say, like, you know, he's a point a game in the WHL right now. College free agents are getting a ton of attention right now. And like, I wonder if more unconventional players are going to get drafted this year. And Jacob Smallwood getting drafted would be unconventional. He's an overager, but like
he's already had 2 draft eligible years, I believe.
I think
and
you're
he
right.
Hasn't been drafted yet, so
he's had at least one for sure. Yeah. But like, how do you draft a guy out of the O? They haven't played. You know what I mean? Or like, you can, you know, all of a sudden you get a guy like Jacob Smallwood, and you know, is he AHL depth for you? Is he NHL? Like, this guy could easily play NHL, or not NHL, professional games this year. Maybe even NHL if you need it.
I still get people saying they selected him in like the fantasy draft and stuff in
NHL. Yeah, I get those tweets all the time.
People trying to make him into like an MVP in the game. Yeah,
he's on their first line just because they listen to this podcast.
It's incredible. It's so incredible.
I love it. I absolutely love it. No, and good for him.
Yeah,
good for him.
He's amazing.
He's had some tough seasons on some, you know, teams that didn't have the success I'm sure he would have liked. And now he's a point a game guy. Jacob Smallwood, baby. Let's go. I want a Smallwood jersey. Let's go. Smallwood to the Leafs.
All right.
Let's friggin' go. I want it.
This one is from @CBJ_ButtLeafs. I believe that's Columbus, but the Leafs on Twitter. Why do Toronto fans get their guy, and once they get attached, they will refuse to consider letting him go? Do you think Leafs fans get particularly attached to their guys on this team? And just any team over the decades, and they get attached. They don't want
over any other franchise. Like any
do you think Leaf fans get particularly attached to their players?
No.
I think they got attached to moments for a while when there weren't any moments to grab onto. Like the 93 Cup run became obscenely popular after the first like year-long shutdown. Was it a lockout? Was that a lockout? That was a lockout, right? Because there was the player strike in 95 or whatever it was, or 94. And then there was 94. And then there was
94, 95. You're right. Sorry.
Then there was the lockout in 2004. I think after that, when the Leafs were terrible, and you get into like the 2009-10 season, when you're 6 years out of the playoffs at that point, and there's nothing to write about, and the team sucks. So you start writing about the nostalgic times when you actually had fun being a reporter, or when you were on the air and you had fun being on the air, because every Toronto team to a team sucked. The Jays sucked, the Leafs sucked, the Raptors sucked, TFC sucked. It was terrible. It was just a bad time to be a sports
Toronto
fan.
was verging on like Cleveland bad territory.
Yes.
Everything in the city is garbage.
I can remember Sports Illustrated naming Toronto the worst North American sports city.
I can remember Sports Illustrated being correct about that.
Yeah, they were. They were absolutely, it was terrible. And so I think those moments, so you had that run. I'm surprised nobody latches on to the 98-99 run a little bit more, because I think that team was better. And it was a surprise team, and Cujo was the best goalie they'd had since the 60s. He was so good.
Dominic Hasek
was so good, right? He was so good. And you look at that run, or you look at the run they had was it Cujo's last year with Carolina, where they just limped into the third round, and Carolina was so strong and they made the finals. And that was the first time Carolina had made the playoffs. Was it with Cujo, or was that the first year with Belfour? Can't remember.
No, it was definitely Cujo in 2002. I'm just trying to remember if he was there the next year as well.
He wasn't. That's the next year. He went to Detroit, because the 2 years before the lockout were Belfour years.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, because Cujo signed a 4-year deal, and in 2 of those 4 seasons went all the way to the conference finals with the Leafs. And neither of those 2 moments are really mentioned. It seems to be the 93 team there was some sort of nostalgia. I don't think Leaf fans are any more attached to their players than any other franchise would be.
And it's like, I want Connor Brown back. Really, Steve? You'd trade for Connor Brown? I didn't say that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Steve
said I want him back.
Steve loves James Reimer, but is realistic about what James Reimer is. We give Steve a hard time about that. It's fun.
I mean, UFA kind of need a goalie.
Kind of makes sense. It does make sense. I'd love to see him back too. mostly to make fun of Steve. I don't get that sense. I think there's a lot of players that a lot of teams that love, or fan bases that love their players. I don't think it's a Toronto thing. And what do you expect? They're fans.
Should I hate them? What? Okay,
Right.
Either we're too hard on them, or we think
like
they're
them too much.
Are you sure there's not just a lot of us?
There's a lot of us.
I think there might just be a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing an entire podcast. A podcast. Think about that, how niche that is.
Imagine going up to a cashier at a grocery store and going, whoa. You guys sell fruit or cereal?
What?
Like, make up your mind. Like, what do you? Well, I don't know. We can't we sell a variety of things? No.
Yeah.
No. Trust me, guys. It's a great comparison.
Jesse,
Really good.
last question.
One more?
Yeah, let's do one more thing.
All right. This one's a fun one. We're going to take your predictions. This is from at on 10 -1. Currently tied at 8. Who finishes the season with more wins? Jack Campbell or the Buffalo Sabres?
Ooh. My God.
Ooh.
8, not just 8. 8 in 8 games.
Right. Yeah, he's 8-0.
Oh my God.
Who you got?
Here,
From
I want to
here on
see how many games the Sabres have left. This is very important. This is very important. Standings. So the Buffalo Sabres have played 37 games. That means they have 19 games left.
Mm-hmm. And Campbell's got probably 10 starts, I'd say.
Oh man.
Depending on Anderson's health,
Andy's battling an injury. Let's not be disrespectful. I'm going to say the Buffalo Sabres.
I say Jack Campbell.
Wow. Wow, man.
Yeah.
I hope
I got nothing to lose here. I picked the fun answer. The fun answer is Jack Campbell. So
Adam's right. About fun.
And if it's
the
like
answer.
And if I'm wrong, so fucking what? Like, who cares?
No, there's a lot at stake here.
But if I'm right, it's amazing. Right?
All right. What about your pride? We're playing for pride here.
What pride? What are we talking about? Pride. A Preds fan just asked me to eat crow about the last 10 games, ignoring the other 40. Are we kidding? Come on.
No, they asked you to eat hot crow.
Oh, hot crow.
It's crow covered in all kinds of seasoning, and it's very good.
Hot crow sandwich is really, really good down in Nashville.
Can I end with one thing?
Please.
Happy birthday to Joe Bowen. He turns,
happy birthday, Joe Bowen.
I believe, 70 years old today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Forget the biggest Leaf fan in the world, the biggest Green Bay Packers fan in the world.
Yeah. He also likes Notre Dame. Ask him about his trips to Notre Dame. They rent a bus and they go down, and it's pretty fun.
And any Irish Leaf ever.
Fair enough. So we will be back Thursday as we hope things will heat up towards the trade deadline. Darren Dreger just sent out a very vague tweet about wondering if Taylor Hall would be held out of the lineup. Now, what's interesting about that, as trade intensifies, is that Darren is well connected with Taylor Hall.
Darren
Darren and Darren. Darren are very good
So
friends.
I would be watching because I think he's probably saying that for a reason.
Right. Somebody's trying to get a narrative out there.
Start giving those to Bob. God. Like, we know, man. Like,
Bob won't tweet him.
That's hilarious. Come on.
No, I think it's... Yo, man, listen. Darren Dreger is making a pile of money and extremely successful because of the relationships he developed. So good for him. I hope he's making a pile of money. I don't know if he is, actually. I don't know.
I think we can be pretty by Canadian standards.
Yes. Yeah.
He's American television poor, I'm sure. But in Canadian television.
American television, it's like you're a local reporter at that salary.
Right. You do the weather on Channel 6.
Yeah.
What is
Channel 6.
Canadian television, it's like, whoa, holy smokes, you can afford a car?
Stephen A. Smith net worth 16 million. Salary $8 million. Jesus, I'm
sure his net worth is more than that, but his salary is definitely $8 million.
Yeah.
CelebrityNetWorth.com is 100% right. How dare you? Okay.
All right. We're out of here.
Bowen.
We love you. We'll see you Thursday. We'll see if Darren Dreger was right. And I wonder if Darren Ferris is turning up the heat on Kevin Adams to try to get him to sit Taylor Hall so Taylor Hall can go to the playoffs. Because if I'm Taylor Hall, I'm like, keep me the fuck out of this lineup. I don't want to play. I want to play more than 4 playoff games in my career. Please get me to a playoff team now. Don't you think?
Adam, you're not on that website. I'm sorry.
What website?
CelebrityNetworth.com.
Why would
I looked you up.
Are you on it?
How much?
Probably not. Adam, if you're not on it, I'm not on it. I'm not even going to. Here, fine. Steve Dangle. Handsome.
Okay.
My
number one result should be my face. Nope, I'm not
My
on
net
there.
worth is estimated between $100,000 and $1 million, according to thefamousdata.com.
That's so big.
I got this. So Adam Wild net worth. Wild has an estimated net worth of $100K to $1 million. His career as a television personality is his primary source of income.
Well, you know how.
Can I read your bio?
if by the way, if television had ever been my main source of income ever, I would have $0. $0. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
So Steve Dangle on YouTubers.me / Steve Dangle.
Okay.
Steve Dangle net worth $50K to $90K. I feel like it should be a little higher.
Jesus. Come on, man.
Steve, do you need some help? And back to
That's pretty good money, man. I like that.
I don't know. I think you own a house. You know?
Yeah, man.
Back to Adam's bio. What is Adam Wild doing now? This is on thefamousdata.com. What is Adam Wild doing now? Wild first appeared as a radio jockey in 2007 as a host in Barrie.
Adam, are you a jockey?
Virgin 98.5 CIBK FM in 2011.
Yeah.
He co-hosted programs alongside Danae in Calgary. After 2 years in Virgin, Adam moved to Kiss 95 with the Blake and Wild Show in 2013. The series enjoyed an amazing 5-year run before Adam left the show. And then in 2019, Adam Wild was snapped up by the morning show. A morning show time. This isn't written very well. A morning show time host. Adam worked alongside TJ and Jax at Bell Media's CKFM. He is also the co-host of the Steve Dangle Podcast. There you go. That's not a bad bio for just scraping the internet.
I guess.
I don't know. Was that worth it?
I'm on one right now that says I don't have any children and I've never been engaged, but I'm 32. So it doesn't
find you very
age
engaging.
right. What's that?
I find you very engaging, Adam.
No, thank you. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. We're out of here. Love you.
All right.
Talk to you soon. Don't trust those websites. We're all poorer than that. Okay, love you. Bye.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.